And can you describe for us your homestay experience?
Which one?
Just the whole
My
thing.
first one was very problematic, Sean. I'll tell you what. I landed a housing situation with an old lady who was in it only for the money. She took people from overseas just so that she could make her car payments. She put a restriction on my hygiene conditions. She also basically starved me and made me fork over 20 to 30 euros each day just to prevent me from being hungry. And that kind of bothered me because I am a full-grown man and I have the appetite of a king and I can eat like a caveman, and when she wants to feed me a tiny bowl of Kellogg's cereal, say I can't have seconds, and then just give me one meal a day and tell me to fend for myself for the rest of the way, I thought that was pretty disgusting, especially considering that she's driving a 8,000, 10,000 euro vehicle, yet she wants to pinch pennies on me over energy regarding hygiene things like restricted shower conditions. One thing that was cool about my first housing situation, though, is that her son, Paul was the assistant director for the movie Braveheart. And Trim Castle is a place that was of a location within that film where Mel Gibson was a star. And Paul, Dimpna Barnes' son, he was the assistant director for the whole entire production of it, whereas there were 25 directors for the whole entire staff, the whole entire production of that film. He was the one that was there for the whole entire thing. He was 5 feet away from Mel Gibson when Mel Gibson lost it on the set. And he was just a really hospitable, wise, respectable person who I learned a lot from, and I enjoyed his company. But things couldn't last at a place like that, man. I mean, I needed a way at a place that I could do my homework, be held over well with food, and also be free to do what I want to. And as soon as my housing situation changed, that's when things became a lot better for me personally. I landed a place with Robert and Phyllis Bear, I think is their last name, and they're really excellent people. They're really hospitable. Robert's a character, man. They were really welcoming to me. They gave me company, any extra gesture that would have made life all the better, which was what I appreciated at that point. And I found it kind of crazy that my host father, his name was Robert, and my own dad, his name's Robert Crumb, and my dad's a king, you know. And I also found it kind of crazy that their son was 33, because 33 is my numeric identity. It had been that way since high school. And I also realized that one of their children had the same name as my aunt, so there were plenty of symbolic coincidences that played in my favor, and things became a lot easier for me once I acquired a decent place of living that was more oriented for the experience rather than the money.
Alright.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for those who might be planning on studying abroad sometime in the future?
Do not look back. Just go for it, balls to the walls. Basically take yourself to a place you've never been familiar with, because you won't only find out about what you'll learn within your educational experiences or your locations that you'll be at, you'll discover a lot about yourself as well. And when you do come back home, of course you'll have plenty of adventures to transcribe to your friends and your family or those that are close to you. But also within yourself, you might come back a different person, a better person, a more stronger, stable person.
And can you name just a few key locations here in Ireland that you really enjoyed and you think other students should go check them out?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what, Sean, when me and you went to the Giant Causeway, the Carrica Reed Bridge, the Belfast Castle, that was a badass paddy wagon tour, man. And other than that, when I got to see the Cliffs of Moher for myself, I thought that was really remarkable. I liked Cool Park. Most people didn't like Cool Park, but I'm one that did, because I seen a lot of rich, green plant life, and there was also an excellent degree of history at that place too, but I just felt it was beautiful nonetheless. And of the other locations, of course, Trinity College. It's the center of all education in Ireland, and it's been that way since Queen Elizabeth established it. And the Book of Kells, when I walked through that Dublin library, man, I thought I ever saw a library back at home until I went to a place like that. So that was pretty cool as well. And of the other spots, that I thought were notable. When we went to Galway at the Barren Lands, it was a place that had seemed strange, but to come across a Neolithic tomb that was more ancient than Stonehenge, that was kind of magnificent, you know. And if I was to think of maybe one other travel excursion, I can't remember what it was called, but there was a, what was it, the LaCroix tombs?
LaCroix, yeah.
Was it the LaCroix tomb?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a LaCroix tomb that was a lot like Stonehenge, or the, what was it, the Newgrange tomb, or?
Yeah, the bigger ones.
Yeah, the bigger ones, because that whole entire tomb, though it was constructed many millenniums ago, it somehow was corresponding with the solstice and the equinox of a year, which in the ancient days, those were festivals regarding spring and also the time of the dead. But there was a particular time of the year when light shined inside the tomb, and it gave a luminous light to the sun's pattern at the back of that tomb, and I thought that was kind of remarkable. That's where I learned a lot about the legend of St. Patrick. And you could see the hill of Tara and the hill of Slane in the distance, where St. Patrick met with the kings of old and ended up converting a lot of Ireland folk from paganism to Christianity, which in turn became Catholicism. And then all the centuries later, there was a battle between Catholicism and Protestant, which is more recent towards our centuries anyhow. So those were the ones that I could think of off the top of my head.
Alright, and the last question is, do you hope to participate in study abroad in the future?
That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. As soon as I get home here in a few days, I'm only going to be home for a week, then I'm turning around and I'm flying to the Virgin Islands, because I begin my first day of a fall semester on my 26th birthday at the University of St. Thomas in the Caribbean. I'm going to study a semester at the Tropics and Exotics, so I not only recommend it, I'm literally going to live it. And it turns out that I'm really nervous about going home. I'm really nervous about leaving home, especially for, you know, some of the love that I've discovered there recently, and particularly with someone significant to me. But I just never knew that so many of my dreams could come true all at once, that I'd be torn between two different dreams. Here I am in Ireland, where it rains 333 days out of the year. It's also really rich, moist, green. It's full of a bunch of medieval architecture. And then within a few weeks, I'm going to be at an educational place that's more tropical, exotic, with all the palm trees and the waterfalls, warm water islands. So I don't know, traveling's something that I've always held dear to my heart, and I actually ended up having a chances to here in my life, so I didn't necessarily look back about it, even though there were certain desires that I had to, you know, kind of fly away from just to get to certain destinations. That's the only part that's hard about traveling abroad over and over again, is that if I was to have personal desires or wishful thoughts towards people or a person that's close to me at home, that I'd have to put my desire here at home so that I could fly to my destination away from it. That's something I have to figure out within these next week or two.
Alright, well, that's all the questions I have for you. So.
Thanks.